It's actually pretty basic. There's a hormonal response. There is a hormonal response to movement and to exercise that creates serotonin and creates a balance of hormones that help you to just feel happier, right? Help you to be more aware, more alert, to feel happier. Also, these things help to prepare your body to produce melatonin. So now
Mm.
if you're exercising and you're moving, you're producing melatonin at the right time. So now you're sleeping better. Guess what? When you sleep better, your body goes through both a physical repair in deep sleep and a mental repair and memory organization, all that in REM sleep. And now all of a sudden your mental health starts to become more acute, a little bit more in tune with your physical health.
Welcome to This Way Up, the podcast dedicated to supporting parents and caregivers navigating the complex world of mental health. I'm Andrea, and each episode we dive deep into the conversations that matter, exploring the challenges, triumphs, and transformative journeys of those facing mental health struggles within their families. Whether you're here for expert advice, inspiring stories, or just a little boost to get you through the day, we've got you covered. So grab a cup of coffee, kick back, and join us as we find the bright spots in the mental health journey, because we're all climbing our way up together. Today, we are joined with Drew Greisel, who is the owner of Primal Wellness, who focuses on busy professionals and parents in their fitness and wellness journey. And he is also the host of the Superhuman Blueprint podcast. He is here today to share with us the importance of self-care and how self-care snacks can make this seemingly overwhelming task doable. Welcome, Drew.
Thanks, Andrea. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is great. And this is such an important topic for not only people that have very stressful lives like listeners, but even those of us who just get out of the habit of taking care of ourselves. So
it's a very easy habit to get out of. It is much easier to focus externally than focus internally.
Why is that? Why do we do that?
Life is full of distractions, and the thing that I see the most is people have this sort of stigma around prioritizing themselves where it feels selfish. And so that gets a lot of people hung up in actually making that decision to take that time for themselves.
Right. But we all know once we hit that low, when we're not taking care of ourselves, we are no good to anybody else.
And what's hard is when you get to that point, it is really hard to then make that decision on your own to do something to come out of it. So it's a bit of a trap.
You're absolutely right. So I'm taking us on a little different turn than what I was expecting. But if we're at that low, let's start there, because so many of us do ignore our own self-care. So if we're at that low, how do we get out of it?
Sometimes it's a matter of having that outside perspective, right? And not the coach come up and say, hey, you need to start working on yourself, but someone that you care about, someone that has a stake in your own health and happiness, right? If, for example, if I'm not taking care of myself and I kind of go in this downward spiral and I become in ways unproductive and unhappy, who's that going to impact? It's going to impact my wife. It's going to impact my kids. It's going to impact my work. So, I might have clients telling me, hey, you're not showing up for me the way that I expect you to when you're here. I might have my wife saying, hey, you're not showing up for me the way that I need you to when you're here. I might have my kids growing distant because I'm not there for them. And so then it's like, okay, well, how many times is someone going to tell me that I'm not doing what I need to do for them before I say, okay, what is it going to take to get there?
It's interesting what you say about that, though, is it all still comes from a other person's perspective. You're not showing up for me. And I could imagine that the dialogue that goes on in somebody's head when they hear that is, I'm not doing enough, not that I need to back off and do more for myself in order to be present. So for our listeners, we've got parents and caregivers that really are knee deep in trying to help their loved one with a mental health crisis, which may come and go, or it may be a very long-term thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it takes you down a rabbit hole because it's so unpredictable.
Right.
And consistency becomes an issue, and prioritizing becomes an issue. What would you tell a parent or a caregiver that is not only struggling with the guilt of taking time off for themselves to do something well, but Why do they need to do that? What do they need to do to be present for their loved one?
The bottom line of that is this: if you are not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of someone else? If you are not maintaining yourself, how can you help to bring someone else up and uplift them? And I work with a lot of parents, right? And I'm a parent. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Oh,
And
you're
so
right in
I
the
see
middle of it.
this. Yeah, I'm right in the middle of it. And I've observed this with myself. Like, for example, basic example of this, and this is not really a mental health thing, but this is just a showing up thing. I wake up early every day, and that's my me time, right? I wake up before the kids. I wake up before my wife. That's the only time I'm guaranteed to myself. And honestly, I do need that for my mental health, and I do need that for my physical health. And that time is very important to me. Here's what I've noticed. Some days when I don't take that time, so I'm like, I'm tired. I just want to sleep longer. And instead of waking up with that 5 a.m. alarm, I wake up when my kid comes in and wants me to start playing with him or whatever. I am not showing up well, right? I'm tired. I'm now kind of annoyed with myself because I overslept. I didn't get my morning routine in. I'm not awake. I'm not alert. I'm not ready to be there for him. And it takes some time to come out of that, right? So now the first hour, a couple hours of the day, I'm not showing up like I want to show up and like he needs me and expects me to show up. All because I didn't take that time to take care of myself.
Mhm.
When I get those couple hours in before everyone else gets up, I'm primed, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm happy with myself, I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm present. And that's just a very basic example of just a simple thing. But you can upscale that, right? So if someone doesn't show up for themselves ever, then how much time can go by before they have some degree of, I don't want to say self-loathing, but a lack of the respect for themselves that they could have when they're caring for themselves? And how does that carry over into how they think other people see them? And now how does it impact that relationship?
Now there is a huge connect between mental health and physical health.
Hmm.
And I think, and this is not statistically based, but so many people will choose not to do physical health because they don't have enough time or it takes so much energy. But then that transitions into like what you were just saying, this self-loathing and the tie. Can you talk about just in general terms about how physical health really helps with mental and emotional stability?
It's actually pretty basic. There's a hormonal response. There is a hormonal response to movement and to exercise that creates serotonin and creates a balance of hormones that help you to just feel happier, right? Help you to be more aware, more alert, to feel happier. Also, these things help to prepare your body to produce melatonin. So now if you're exercising and you're moving, you're producing melatonin at the right time. So now you're sleeping better. Guess what? When you sleep better, your body goes through both a physical repair in deep sleep and a mental repair and memory organization, all that in REM sleep. And now all of a sudden your mental health starts to become more acute, a little bit more in tune with your physical health as you are exercising and you are moving more. And so there's all of these little things that interconnect into each other, but largely it's about hormones. Because when you think about happiness and depression, anxiety, things like that, oftentimes it's traceable back to some sort of hormonal imbalance. And the question just is, one, why do you have that hormonal imbalance? And two, what can you do about it? And one of the easiest things you can do is just move more.
Now, move more doesn't mean you have to be a bodybuilder or you have to do an hour-long jazzercise class or something, right?
No, but go for it. Let's all do an hour-long jazzercise class.
The reason I brought that up, by the way, I actually saw a commercial for it that came through YouTube,
Really,
and I was like,
jazzercise.
I didn't even know they existed any longer,
Yeah.
but apparently they do.
Cool. Let's try it.
So somebody could just take a walk if they're in the middle of something, a 10-minute walk.
10-minute walk. And if you can do it outside, like any movement is good movement, but if you can combine that with something like sunshine, or even if it's not sunshine, just being outdoors
Mhm.
actually also has scientifically backed health benefits. Actually, do you mind if I backtrack a little bit and kind
Go
of
for it.
get to the evolution of why we're even here talking about this?
Yeah.
As if I'm a fitness trainer, then why are we here talking about mental health? And
Right.
so originally I'm a martial arts self-defense instructor. So I teach Krav Maga self-defense. I had students of mine coming to me for fitness. There's a little bit of a fitness component to martial arts, but it's not about fitness. So I said, okay, let me learn about fitness, right? And I'd taken CrossFit and boot camp classes, and I've been fit and working out. I just never learned about exercise physiology or teaching fitness. So I got credentialed in that, and then so I started to have private clients come to me for fitness. And it's almost always some kind of body composition when someone comes to a fitness trainer, right? I want to lose weight, or I want to build muscle or tone up or whatever. I ended up going down like multiple rabbit holes of, okay, well, if you're just exercising, that's good enough, not good enough. So you need nutrition. Great. But if you have your exercise and your nutrition program dialed, there's still so much you're leaving on the table. And that's things like just moving more. You actually don't need to work out for an hour every day if you move the way we're supposed to move. And then all of the other things that contribute to, one, having a good workout, but two, all of this sort of like cross pollination with mental health. So things like I just mentioned, getting outside, getting natural light, things like adequate hydration. Most people are chronically dehydrated and don't even know it. And that has all kinds of mental impacts, things like timing when you eat. And I'm not talking just about fasting, but just about not eating a certain amount of time after you wake up or before bed, allowing space in between meals, things like that. There's a hormonal response to all of these things, some of which impacts you physically and many of which impacts you mentally. So there's just all of these things. And that to me is so profound when I learned that all of these things that help you to have a better physique can also help you to have a stronger mentality.
You bring up a good point. So many people view fitness as a vanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place of vanity.
Yep.
And, the evolution of humans, we weren't meant to sit down all day.
Yeah.
We were meant to move. So it's no wonder that all of these things are tied into our overall well-being is rooted from a place of movement.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And movement doesn't mean bodybuilding or jazzercise.
No, you need muscle. And muscle doesn't mean giant bulging muscles. It just means you need strength in various parts of your body, particularly around the core, for balance, certainly in the upper body, the lower body, various specific parts of that. But just think about, like, do you want to be able to, when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, do you want to be able to get up off the couch without needing someone to help you? Do you want to be able to carry your own groceries from the trunk of your car to your refrigerator?
You mentioned other things around wellness. So again, people come when they think about being healthy, they always go to, okay, I need to eat right. What does that mean? And I need to work out. But you brought up sleep, you brought up drinking. All of these things can affect your mental health. And that is a way to show, if you're taking care of all of those things, is a way to show up for another person. Talk a little bit about what happens when you're dehydrated.
Yeah. So it's the most, aside from the actual physical impact on your various organs, the most notable effect of that is really just low energy and low mental clarity. And people live that way. And, our perception of normal is what we're used to. So if I'm always dehydrated and I'm chronically low energy and chronically not quite as mentally sharp as I should be, then to me, that is my normal state of being. And it's not just water, it's water with the right mineral balance. Because if you're just drinking purified, filtered water, then there's no minerals and you're actually possibly even doing more harm. But if you're drinking the right amounts of water with the right mineral balance, it's profound. It is such a simple thing. And guess what? It doesn't take any time.
That's what I was
You
going
have
to
some
say.
water with you and you drink it throughout the day. And guess what? You didn't need to carve out 30 minutes for a mental health break.
Well, that's where this was going. Is we talk about busy parents, busy professionals. There are many days that by midday I'm like, gosh, did I actually drink? And how long does that take? It takes a second.
Yeah.
And it does. And I know that if I am dehydrated or I haven't drank, I am so tired. I'm yawning, I'm fuzzy, and just even taking a little bit and hydrating, which seems so basic, is profound in the way that I feel. And I can imagine, like, again, I think people our listeners are thinking self-care has got to be this huge, I go to the spa.
Yeah.
Rather than I pick up a bottle of water and I drink it.
Yep. And thirst is a late indicator of hydration. So it's really important to just make it a habit to drink water throughout the day. Because if you're all of a sudden thinking, wow, I'm really thirsty, I need to go get some water, you've been dehydrated for a while already.
Mm-hmm.
So, your best option is to not even let yourself get to that point.
Okay. So I've heard, oh, you should drink warm water. Is that just a fallacy? Or I mean, I don't like warm water. I like really ice cold water. I'm from Arizona.
I have seen so I've never seen warm water, but I have seen room temperature water versus cold water.
That to me is warm water.
Yeah, and I've seen kind of conflicting data on that, so I don't personally have an opinion.
Okay.
I think it probably doesn't really matter.
Okay, good. Yes. Right? Water is water is water.
Water is
Well,
water.
except for you did say something about filtered water and purified water versus mineral water,
Yeah.
which I know so many of us have water filters and all of those kind of things at our home.
Yep, I do too. I have a reverse osmosis set up in my at my kitchen sink, so I get like very, very, very well filtered water for drinking, but I have a bottle of mineral drops that I always put right back into my drinking water because if you are drinking filtered water, you are messing up the mineral balance in your body. Your body needs minerals for all kinds of functions, including your brain. And if you're not putting more minerals into it with your water, one, you could be creating a deficiency if you're not getting sufficient minerals also from your food. And two, as your body is processing this water that you're drinking, it's expecting minerals to do certain things with that water. And if those minerals are not present, then it will pull those minerals from other functions of your body. So now all of a sudden, your liver doesn't have what it needs to do what it's supposed to do, or your kidney. And so it creates imbalances if you are consuming water without the right mineral ratios.
Which makes sense. Again, if we go back, we used to drink water out of rivers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
We did not filter anything.
Yep.
So what you're saying is you pull the minerals out through your reverse osmosis and then you put them right back in?
Yeah, because the tap water is terrible. Don't drink tap water.
Okay, so it is bad.
Tap water is terrible, yeah.
But I've heard recently that bottled water is bad too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole too. Bottled water, you could say, is bad because of microplastics.
Right.
So you could say that about anything that comes in a plastic container, really.
I know, which is overwhelming in and of itself.
Yep. And then, there's all kinds of endocrine system hormonal disruption from microplastics. But, I guess pick your poison. But yeah, your tap water also has other things added into it to keep it clean, but are really not good for consumption.
Where do you get minerals?
Oh, you can buy them from this grocery store. I mean, you can get them from Whole Foods, Sprouts. You can get them from Amazon. I should have brought it here, but I have just it's a bottle about, I don't know, yay high, about 6 inches high, and it's liquid, and it's called Trace Minerals. You can get on Amazon.
Does it make the water taste anything? Anything?
If you put a lot in, then yeah, it gets a little salty.
Okay.
If you don't put a lot in, then it's barely noticeable. I have some flavored ones that I use. I don't nothing sweetened with sugar, sweetened with stevia, but so it's kind of like drinking a lemonade or drinking like a watermelon cooler drink. So I'll mix that with a bit of ice. There's your ice, and it's quite refreshing. And it has a nice electrolyte balance. And electrolytes is, it's your potassium, it's your calcium, it's your magnesium, and then there's these things called trace minerals, which is other minerals, but you don't need them in as great quantities, but you still need them.
And you can't get them from food.
You can get them from food. It's just, if you're drinking the amount of water that you're supposed to be drinking and your water doesn't also have those, you're going to dilute and redirect what you're getting from your food.
Oh, interesting.
So you really need it from both.
Okay, that makes sense.
And unfortunately, our food doesn't have the minerals that it's supposed to have anymore because our soil is so depleted of minerals because of mass farming and agriculture and all that. Our soil is very much mineral depleted. So the plants are not absorbing the minerals from the soil. So if we're eating the plants, we're not getting the same minerals we used to get. The animals that are eating the plants are eating plants from soil that's mineral depleted. So same thing, that even the animals are mineral depleted.
And we wonder why we have anxiety. Just hearing this stuff raises my anxiety levels.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
I'm like, oh my gosh, my water's bad, my food's bad, I'm getting plastic. It's like it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it
but
is.
anyways, that's a side note.
And that's why, when you said the thing about the water bottle, I'm like, you kind of pick your poison, right? Like, what do you want to be freaked out about today? Okay, well, let's just focus on tap water and we'll worry about the water bottle some other time.
Absolutely. If you can get some hydration, just take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got easy number 1, get outside and take a walk. Easy number 2, take a sip of water. What are some other things people can do to take better care of themselves that don't require an immense amount of time?
Yeah. So the two things, well, okay, the three things that I prescribe on top of everything is really just one, you just said it, movement. So it's just moving more. And if you have something like a step tracker, then that's really helpful to keep yourself accountable and aware of how much you're actually moving. Like I have this little smart ring that I wear and it connects to my phone and it tells me how much I'm moving. And it's great. It's helpful. Drink the right amount of water. And then the third most important one that you can do is to sleep better. So we're talking about time, right? So you should, your ideal amount of sleep is, they say 8-ish hours. I'm inclined to agree with that number. If you can be in bed for approximately 8 hours, then maybe you'll get like 7.5 hours of sleep because of the various sleep wake cycles and disruptions. But even if you cannot get that much, so if you can't add time to how much you sleep, and this is a problem I have, evenings are for my wife and early mornings are for me. So when the time that I get in between that is when I sleep. I don't have a lot of time to sleep, but I optimize my sleep. So the sleep I do get is really good sleep.
Okay, explain that.
So you should be going through your sleep cycles, right? So you go from your light sleep to your deep sleep and then your REM sleep. Your light sleep is that's the one where it's easy to disturb you. It's comfortable and it's nice. You're not necessarily getting profound benefits from that one other than rest. Your deep sleep, that's where you're getting your physical benefits. That's where you have your physical recovery. You're repairing your immune system and any muscles and things like that. And then your REM sleep is where you get the mental benefits. So that's where you get your memory consolidation, and you are taking care of your brain in the REM sleep. And good sleep means you're cycling through these multiple times a night without being majorly disrupted. Because guess what? If you get disrupted, then you got to start all over. If on a good night of sleep for me, and let's just say I sleep 6 hours a night, I'm getting about hour and 40 to 2 hours of deep sleep, hour and 40 to 2 hours of REM sleep, and the rest is my light sleep. That's a really good night. On nights when I have a lot of disruptions, because guess what? I got little kids and I get a lot of disruptions, then that might be down to like an hour. It might be down to less than that. So all of that recovery that I should have gotten over the course of the night, I did not get.
So, if I'm hearing you, you really need it to be in one chunk. So, I mean, you're going to have some, disruptions just in general, but
Yeah.
taking a nap wouldn't necessarily fulfill that deep or REM sleep. That's really just going to get your light sleep, a short nap.
Yeah. And so you can get into deep sleep pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you're not going to cycle through the whole thing. But yeah, if you take like a 30-minute nap in the afternoon, then yeah, you can get, maybe 15, 20 minutes of deep sleep, if depending on how quickly you can actually fall asleep. And hey, that's cool. It's refreshing. So that's why they say that power nap. But if you're waking up in the middle of like a deep or an REM sleep, then it's like, it's a little, that's where you get that kind of that brain fog, like, oh, I wasn't ready for this. Like ideally you're going through the whole cycle and then waking up in a light sleep. When people wake up naturally without being disturbed by something, it's in that light sleep phase.
Okay.
I'm going to take some time to cycle through that.
So, can you make up sleep?
You can. There is such a thing as a sleep deficit and then recovering from that deficit, but obviously you're going to suffer until you do that. Right. So if I'm like, all right, I'm really busy, I'm going to sleep for 4 hours a night the next 3 nights and then try and get 8 hours of sleep on the fourth night, then for the next 3 days, I'm going to be paying for that.
So you can't, but there can be people that will never be able to make it up because they just continue to.
Yep.
I would say that I'm probably one of those because I wake up all night every night.
And here's the thing. So good sleep is cycling through these sleep phases, but it's not just like disruptions that can, like external disruptions that can break you out of these cycles. All kinds of things, like if you're eating too close to bedtime, your body is not focused on getting good sleep. It's focused on digestion. So now your sleep's not going to be as good. The other night, my in-laws came over and gave my wife and I a spontaneous date night, which was lovely. We don't get a lot of those. So we had a bit of a late dinner and then we decided to go get some frozen yogurt afterwards. Sugar also very disruptive. Yeah, my sleep was terrible that night. And I track my sleep. The same ring that I have here tracks my sleep, gives me a sleep score. And I knew it wasn't going to be good. And I was right.
Interesting. When should you stop eating before you go to bed?
A couple hours before bed, before laying down. So
Oh, interesting.
Somewhere in that 2 to 3 window. Usually I'm eating around 6. I'm done by 6:30 or so, and I'm trying to go to bed about 10. So for me, it's about 3 hours. That usually works out very favorably for me. I would say no more than 2.
So midnight snacks are probably a bad idea.
Yeah, they are a bad idea.
Okay, so now you've added something else in there is making sure that you're eating. Should you eat right when you wake up?
No. And obviously that doesn't have anything to do with sleep. That's more of a digestion and which systems in your body are you utilizing. But usually it's helpful to have a big old glass of mineralized water because guess what? Not just your body, but your brain becomes dehydrated overnight. So, that kind of mental fog that you have waking up, you can come out of it pretty quickly if you rehydrate right away. And generally you want to separate your kind of mass hydration from your food intake so that you're not diluting what you're getting from the food.
I don't think I've ever heard that before. Some of the stuff I have heard before, but I have never heard that. But that makes total sense.
Yeah. So, it doesn't need to be anything major, 20, 30 minutes, between your water and having something to eat. But you definitely want to, the way you digest your food is different than the way your body processes water. So you want to have that separately if you can.
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm going to make a mental note of that. You absolutely do get dehydrated at night. I know I wake up in the morning and I am parched,
Yep.
which concerns me because you told me that then that's a bad thing because I'm thirsty already. But I guess you don't really have a choice or else you're disrupting your sleep.
Yeah. I mean, that one, yeah, then don't wake up and drink water all night long because then you're going to wake up more to go pee all night long. So,
Yeah, I know.
get your hydration done. If you get adequate hydration throughout the day, all day long, then you won't feel as parched when you wake up. For me, when I wake up and drink water, it's more out of habit because I know I should than because I'm parched.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Drew, as you get older, you have to get up in the middle of the night and pee all the time anyways. I mean, it's just, I don't know why.
Also, if you can manage it, not drinking much water, maybe just a little sip here and there within those couple hours before bed as well to minimize that need.
Oh my goodness, there's so much.
I
I
know
would have
there's
to have
so
sticky
much.
notes everywhere.
I
Don't
know.
drink, 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 drink. Nope,
Well,
not now. I'm just
and
kidding.
honestly, that's why people hire me, right? Because,
Right.
I can be their accountability partner and their reminder that, okay, this is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
With my transformation, it's a 10-week progression, right? It's not like, here's the protocol, you're going to do it for 10 weeks. It's, okay, week 1, we're going to do these few things at this kind of like low level. And week 2, we're going to build those up. And week 3, we're going to build those up. And week 4, we're going to build those up. Week 5, we're going to add some new things. And we're going to continue to build upon the first set of things. And now we're going to build all of them up and so on and so forth. So that by the time we get to week 10, it's like, oh, this is a lot. But it doesn't feel that way because you did this gradual buildup and you've created habits rather than just doing this insane thing.
Right. Right. Because it could be overwhelming if
Oh,
you
yeah.
tried to do everything at
Absolutely.
once.
Yeah.
But for people that can't take your 10-week, it's really kind of the basics: nutrition, movement, hydration, and sleep.
Yeah. And more sleep isn't always better sleep. So I can't stress the difference between those things enough. Like the other day I was in bed for 10 hours, right? I gifted myself extra sleep. I went to bed early. I can't remember why. Oh, it was a few months ago. It was my birthday. My wife got me a 90-minute massage for my birthday. So I worked out really hard in the morning and then I got my massage, but it's not like the nice kind of massage. It's the massage where you're like, find all of the things that are wrong with me and like try to like grind them out.
Right. Yeah.
So I was extremely sore from this massage. And I was like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm going to go to bed early. And I did, but my sleep was terrible because I was so sore. So I was waking up. I had, that sort of internal / external disruptor, right? Like there wasn't someone coming into the room disrupting me, but my own body was, every time I twitched, I was like, ow. So I was in bed for 10 hours, but my sleep was horrible.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting that you talk about internal and external disruptors because external is where I know that I focus a lot. I never think about really what's happening, but even a glass of wine before you go to bed or early in the night, I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah. Alcohol is one of the worst things. And there's this whole couple glasses of wine is good for you thing. Get your antioxidants from somewhere else. And I just did a podcast on my show with this doc out in Norway who's kind of pioneered this method of using heart rate variability to track your wellness and to kind of see what creates stress for your body. And he was pretty emphatic that alcohol is one of the worst things. Like if you have a couple glasses of wine, your body's going to be making up for that for 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So for 4 days, you're not going to be able to reach your kind of optimal state.
Wow. Well, and I have read that now, I guess it's been forever, but they're saying now it's one of the top carcinogenics is alcohol.
Yeah.
Is it you're putting poison into your body,
Yep.
which is crazy because we talk about going way back when they were drinking lots of wine, but it's terrible. I know that I can't drink anyways. I try and I don't really try. Let's get
I
this
tried
straight.
so hard.
I really, but I just can't drink. And then the next day, like if I try to work out, I feel it. It's terrible. It
Yeah.
feels horrible. Well, I just hope that that continues to go out and people continue to start being more aware of how they're feeling because I know that disrupts the sleep. I know that it disrupts my next day. So
It's interesting how certain things like come and go from being like in fashion or just like cool or whatever, like smoking, not really cool anymore. You don't really see a lot of people smoking anymore.
right.
And I don't remember who I was talking to, but someone was just telling me that like even like the nightclubs in LA, like they're not quite as poppin' as they used to be because a lot of the generation that that age range typically would frequent that kind of place. That's just not what they're into now.
It's interesting. Well, as more as you get more educated on things, things do run their course, I guess. Well, think of like, do you remember when you couldn't eat egg yolks? Like they said how bad it was. I'm like, and now they're like, no, you need the fat from the egg yolk, and so
Nature's multivitamin. Eat your egg yolks.
right. I'm like, I remember
The whites are great, good protein, but the yolks are where you get all your real nutrition.
the nutrition. Yeah, yes, it's higher in calories, but you shouldn't be chugging them down, but you
Yeah.
shouldn't be throwing them away either. When I was younger, just throw them away. So, your 10-week program, what can somebody expect at the end of the 10 weeks?
Feel better, look better. I mean,
Okay.
I can't put it any more simply than that. And it is not a fitness program. So there is movement, like there's a daily movement requirement, and we incorporate in exercise snacks where you're doing little bits of exercise all day. So for someone that has like no level of fitness whatsoever, this is quite doable. For someone that is very fit, chances are they've already got a fitness program, and this is very complementary to that. But it's wellness, right? It's all of these things that are going to contribute to creating better hormonal balance in your body, better organ function, and you stack them and you just create more mental clarity. We do things like observing an eating window, cold showers. People absolutely loathe cold showers because they're very uncomfortable. But are you familiar with autophagy?
Mm-mm.
So autophagy is your body's cellular recycling process. So when you create stress on your body in certain ways, exercise is one way, fasting is another way, and extreme temperatures like heat and cold are another way. Your body goes into a mode where it's like, okay, we're in there's some sort of stress going on. We need to optimize at a cellular level. So what it does is when you bring in these stressors, it takes the old broken or dead cells and basically it eats them and recycles them into new cells. So autophagy is literally cellular recycling. You take the old ones and you use them to create new ones.
It's almost like composting for the human.
Yeah, absolutely. And we live in a world where people avoid stressors, right? People go way out of their way to be and remain comfortable. Then things just kind of degrade, right? And there's a reason for that. When we get uncomfortable physically, then we create autophagy. When we get uncomfortable mentally, then we actually can grow certain parts of our brain.
Mm.
So
So there is a positive outcome of putting yourself through stress,
yeah, absolutely. And so,
mental stress even.
yeah,
Well, they'd say when you're, the best way to stave off like Alzheimer's or dementia is to do something new, to read something different than what you're normally reading. You're taxing your brain, I guess, in some ways. So it makes sense.
and even certain things that people always, really thought of for physical health, like exercise, are shown to have long-lasting mental health benefits. People that exercise are statistically shown to have stronger mental health as they age. People, creatine, right? Most people have heard of creatine. It's a supplement that a lot of people use for their musculature, for their physique. There's a lot of studies now that show that creatine is a incredible supplement for reduction or prevention of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a cure, right? If you already have it, it's not going to do anything for you. But if you're taking creatine prior to the onset of any symptoms, then it could work very favorably. Things like sauna have been shown to help with that. Again, a stressor.
Hmm. Well, I'm excited because my water right here has creatine in it. You can't see it because it's off camera, but it has creatine in it. So now I feel even better that I'm not going to just get really fantastic biceps, but now I will also stave off any Alzheimer. And I can be that young grandma that my daughter has told me that she wants for her
There
kids.
you go. Show her what's up.
I'm going to tell her. Well, it sounds like self care is really a reflection of what we're doing for somebody else, too.
Hmm.
We would be making sure that our kids or loved ones are getting some sort of movement, that they're hydrated, but why we don't do that for ourselves, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like it's that hard.
Yeah, and for busy people, so again, my niche is kind of busy professionals and busy parents. So with the busy working people, not considering things like being responsible for children, it's really just like it's go, 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 go. Like this is the mission I'm on, and everything else can wait.
Yeah.
And so, really it's just a matter of making the time. And again, something like this transformation program that I have, it's little things scattered throughout the day. So you don't actually need a lot of time. For parents, there's that, right? Busy, 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 go, go, go. But then there's also that mental hang up of, or that almost sense of nobility, and I'm sacrificing myself to give my all to my children that depend on me. It doesn't quite work that way.
No, it doesn't. I remember when we were kind of knee deep in our issues with, ours kind of came on very, very suddenly. And I was probably up 22 hours a night researching, trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And I was just so engrossed in, mama bear mode. And my husband at the time said to me, he said, "You are creating an environment in this household and of stress." And I remember being so angry at him at the time because I thought he was blaming me for what was going on. And I realized he probably could have articulated that maybe a little bit better. But what he was saying was back off, give yourself some grace, take care of yourself because you're not who you normally are, which is kind of this level headed, calm person who can think about tomorrow and the next day rather than being so so consumed as to what's going on.
And maybe this is unpopular, but I'm just going to say it. In my observation, women have a harder time with that than men. Women have a harder time seeing that their lack of self prioritization is having a broader impact.
Yeah, no, I don't think, even if it's unpopular, I believe it's true. We're supposed to be caregivers, not care receivers. But in this world where life is so busy, we need to be receiving care as well. Whether or not we give it to them or give it to ourselves or get it from somebody else, we need to be receiving care.
Yep.
Well, Drew, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at primalwellnesscoaching.com or on Instagram, primal.wellness.coaching. And also check out the Superhuman Blueprint podcast. We have a lot of fun conversations over there.
Awesome. We'll have that all in the show notes too. Thank you so much.
Andrea, thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks for tuning in to This Way Up. I hope you're feeling a little lighter, a little brighter, and ready to take on whatever comes next. Remember, the journey of mental health is all about progress, not perfection. So keep climbing. And don't forget to celebrate the small wins. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little lift.